What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune in and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on some comments that Ray Allen made about Michael LeBron James. Right, Ray Allen was recently on a podcast where he said that LeBron James didn't have a bag, which to me is like to a lot of people, it's not news. It's a few people have said it. Iman Shumpert, Carmelo Anthony, said that he didn't have a bag. And so, LeBron addressed it a little bit, saying that, he didn't have a bag, which he said, he scored all these points. How could he not have a bag? When, when people watch him, we watch him play and we see that he don't have a bag. His game is basically he'll shoot a jumper or he'll put his head down and try to go all the way to the rim. And that's it. That's his game, right? And so, but I want to talk about whose fault is it that LeBron James don't have a bag? Besides his own, I think it's the NBA. And and the reason why I think it's the NBA's fault is when LeBron James was in high school and he was selected as the chosen one, King James, the chosen one, and everything was given to him. And when you give people things, and sometimes people don't feel like that they need to work for anything because it's already given to him. Like there wasn't a whole lot of incentive for LeBron James to get better. You know, because like I said, they just paved the road for LeBron James to do what he wanted to do. And so LeBron James never really had to work on his game. He never really had to elevate his game. You know, if LeBron James, he didn't have a turnaround jumper or he didn't have a low post game, he would move to a team and get and team up with somebody who did have a low post game. And that's not all LeBron James' fault. Then he would surround himself with people who could shoot. So he just orchestrated. He took the easy way out. And in the NBA, in my opinion, they set it up to where as though LeBron James could just move around the league and cherry pick and allow him to allow him to cheat the game like that. So it's the NBA made this bid, and it's the NBA's fault that like ratings are going down because they allowed the star of their league. They allow him to cheat the game, so they cheated the game, so they're responsible. Like now, when you look at now, like the playoffs, we're in the middle of this championship, right? It's game six. Is game six is probably on right now. Yeah, game six has already started. But if you look at game six of this championship series between the Thunder and the Pacers, right? The defense, they're playing defense now. They're the mid-range game is back now. You see TJ McConnell, he's shooting the mid-range. He's got a great mid-range game. You got what's the guy name? Shea, his mid-range game is great. So the NBA they learned their lesson that you can't just anoint somebody the king and give them everything and not really put them in a position where as though number one, they gave him so much leeway and latitude that they gave their leverage away. And so they couldn't really demand that LeBron James get better, that LeBron James work on his game because he always took the easy way out. But now you have these guys right now is coming into the NBA and they're working for everything they get. And I think that the NBA is going to go back to that formula, like setting it up, having it set so players need to work for everything they get. I remember like watching Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, like those guys used to say, like every year after this during the off season, they working on like a new skill, something to come back to the table with next year that's going to make them even more, make them more formidable, make them harder to play, make them harder to defend. You, every year they did that, and don't get me to talking about like what Mike and Kobe did in the off season, to their games. Like they worked on their footwork. They Mike developed the turnaround. Kobe developed the turnaround fadeaway jumper. Um, you know, and neither one of those guys like coming in. I don't think that they gave like the league gave Kobe and Mike the same kind of like they didn't anoint them. They allowed Kobe and Mike to earn their respect in the league. And so LeBron James wasn't allowed that. They allowed LeBron James like I said, to cherry pick and to move around the league freely, right? And I don't think that it was on purpose. I don't think that the NBA realized that giving LeBron, like anointing him so early, was going to set LeBron James up for failure. Basically, and that's what I think they did. I think they basically, not on purpose, but I think they just set LeBron James up for failure, allowing LeBron James, like I said, to move around and cherry pick and stuff like that. Older players and even players like some of the players that play with him, they just didn't respect that. I heard who said that they didn't respect that? Um, I heard a few players. I heard a few players say that they didn't respect it. Jeff Teague said, man, like they felt like he cheated. Like when you go to a team and you surround yourself with what you think is a super team just so you can beat somebody, you cheated. They wasn't, players wasn't used to seeing that. But LeBron James was able to do it. He won some championships doing that, but it didn't. The NBA didn't benefit from that, and so now the NBA want to get back to the old way of doing things. Like I said, that and so um, yeah, I just think like the NBA is really going to clean up their act when it comes to um, like anointing players like the chosen one and stuff like that. I think I would be very surprised. I don't think the NBA will ever do that again. There'll be some hype around like the kid that's coming in now, like Cooper Flag. There's going to be some hype around Cooper Flag, right? Because Cooper Flag is a very good basketball player, and like the attention that Cooper Flag has gotten is like attention that he earned. He went to Duke, and I thought he had a really good season at Duke. Excellent, not a good season. This kid had an excellent season. But you see it every year though, like a player will come out with a lot of hype and well, not every year, from time to time. Then these guys, once they get the money, you know, they don't, they feel like they made it, and so they're not as motivated to perform, as they was, like what Mike, Kobe, Magic, and Bird and all those guys did. So they're not as motivated. With Zion, you see Zion, like he not focused on basketball the way people would, like the way people expect them to be, or the way like fans would want him to be. He's not focused. He's got a lot of off the court drama, you know, and part of it I guess we live in like a new social media type age, and so that draws a lot of attention. But part of it is too, like you don't see the guy's not really dedicated to the game like that. He got the money, and now he out there, he just tricking it off. And so the NBA, I think, is going to find a way to weed out, the guys who really just gonna get this money and just coast on the NBA name, and not really live up to their end of the bargain. I always talk about like how all the great basketball players, and not just the great basketball players, but if you played in the league for 10 and 12 and 15 years, you're gonna have injuries. That's that's going to be the main reason your body is going to wear down and break down. You know that's going to be the main reason why people retire. Like Isaiah Thomas had ton of injuries. You know, he couldn't go anymore. And so he was forced into retirement because of the injuries. Larry Bird forced into retirement because he had a foot and ankle injury. He couldn't go no more. Um, Kobe, he couldn't physically do it no more. Michael Jordan, he couldn't physically do it no more. His knees, they had to drain his knees after every game. All those guys, man. And so that's the price of playing professional basketball or playing professional sports. But here you got LeBron James, this dude going on year 23. And so the fans feel cheated, the NBA feel cheated, and I know the sponsors and everybody feel cheated. And so I'm telling you, it's going to be some consequences and repercussions to that, man, because everybody feel cheated. Like not that you want to see a dude, like falling apart at the end of his career, but that's what comes with being, this dude is in the best shape of his life. And so something, man, everybody feel cheated. You got a guy getting ready to retire from basketball in the who didn't get better. He didn't develop a mid-range game. He don't have his footwork is terrible. He don't have a handle. No, like he didn't get better. 23 years, his game has not gotten better. And now you have, people saying, well, he take care of his body. Yeah, he take care of his body because he didn't go all out like that. He didn't go all out. And I don't even want to get into some of the accusations as far as like enhancements and stuff like that that's going on out there, but people feel cheated, and it's the NBA. It's the NBA's fault, and the NBA is going to rectify that. I don't think they will ever have this issue again, and they're not going to have this problem again. They're going to start to weed out these people, guys who come into the league and just want to get the money and coast for 20 years, you know. And so that's it. It's the NBA fault though that LeBron James don't have a bag. If he was able to move around freely and stuff like that, you know, and yeah, so that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.